Hello, welcome back to Total Spotfest. I'm Jamie, that's JJ, and with us we have a illustriously returning, I'm going to add that extra piece, Darian Bengston back with us. We miss him, Kansas City native-ish, back home.
That's fair.
Ish.
Just add, why not? You just add it into another city to be built from,
I know. Yeah, that's already such a struggle. Like I feel so bad when I talk to ring announcers and they're like, "Where are you from?" And I go,
"Well,
man, I don't know. I'll give you a couple. You pick one, bro."
Yeah, it's like I'm doing the opposite of Ultimate Warrior. Like parts unknown, you should be parts known.
Yeah,
like all the parts everywhere.
All the parts.
Yeah, I'll just come out and say he's well traveled, Darian Bengston, I guess.
He's from goddamn everywhere. All right, no, but thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening, for joining us in as we catch up with our good friend Darian Bengston. This is your first time here. Hi, welcome. Like, subscribe, share, as we always say. Do all the things. We definitely appreciate it. You can get feedback at Total Spotfest on Twitter. Eventually, we'll be on Threads. I don't know. Have you hopped over to the Threads train yet, Darian?
I've not. I'm totally content to wait until it's like already established. I'm not in a rush to be like I need to get in there and get my followers up before it pops off. I'm like I'll wait.
Right. What was that? What was that one that came out, Jamie? Like
Hive. Remember, because everybody thought Twitter was gonna die, so everybody hopped over to Hive, and Twitter did not die.
Hive was terrible. I don't mind Threads. I know that. It was interesting. So, like, when you first sign over, use your Instagram, you link it, blah, 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 right? The first day or so, though, until you get all your stuff, like, re-followed, and everything, it just suggests you things. So, I hopped over, I did that, and I had, like, a couple people that had already made accounts, so they followed there. So, I had a few random people, I think, like, the St. Louis Blues, of course, right? And Effie. So I had Effie was going ham. So, and I just love this because Effie would love this too. Because it was like my timeline was basically a little bit of hockey and a whole lot of gay stuff going on.
Yeah.
Oh, you follow Effie. Here's this, and I'm like, fantastic. But eventually it catches up. So anyway, at Total Spotfest. So Darian, how are you doing? We were just saying it's been since December we have seen you last.
Yeah, it's been since Journey's farewell show. Which is crazy. Feels like a lifetime ago and just yesterday at the same time somehow.
I know.
But I'm doing good. I have this is probably one of the craziest wrestling weeks for me in my career. I just became the new undisputed TWE champion at TWE Chattanooga. So very stoked about that. Double belted up. It's cool.
Nice.
And I feel like after like the double belt trend has died away now, so now it's okay for me to do it. Like I didn't want to be, carrying two belts like everyone else was being, but so that's really cool. SEI is this weekend, Phoenix City Invitational.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's going to be a crazy tournament. I am in the night before show in TWE on Thursday. I'm appearing at Ace Championship Wrestling in North Carolina on Friday. Back to SEI for the tournament, in which I have a spot in the scramble, and I'll be defending the TWE championship, which is a lot. If I win the scramble, I earn a place in next year's tournament, and then we drive straight through up to Indiana for Napton All-Pro, where I'm facing Dylan McQueen. So it's a lot. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So let's talk about the grind, because that just brings it up to me. Like we're just gonna make this organic, because usually I have like a butt ton of questions ready to go, but we've already asked you all these questions, so this is great.
We don't need to.
So let's talk about this grind. Like, do you love it, hate it, indifferent about it? Like, what's the thing about like this treacherous row, if you will, of goodness? Really, it's just the grind to get there and all that. Like, can you maybe expand on how it makes you feel, like, and like during the lows, what do you get through on the lows, and then obviously the highs. We know, like, how do you get through all that?
Definitely. It's it's hard. You know, I can't lie about that. Like, um, I'm very much in a spot in my career and creative process in which I'm having to do a lot of spending money to make money. Um, just because I want. I'm at the point now where I'm not really allowed to have training wheels anymore. Uh, like I'm 3 years in now, and around this time is when your inexperience or time in the business stops being an excuse, a valid one anyway. And so I want to make sure that my promos are not just something I shot on my car or on my iPhone last minute because I forgot or didn't care that much about the show I was going to be on. So you know, I spend money on every single one of my promos. I spend money. I pay a videographer their full rate to film and edit, you know, my promotional material because I feel like, for one, any company I work for is going to appreciate that, that I'm putting in actual effort. And, you know, they talk about, like, individual wrestlers aren't draws anymore, companies are draws. Well, if that's the case, the way that I grow my fan base is by, you know, putting in that effort and standing out. And so a huge part of the grind is that I invest my real life earnings into doing things to promote my matches or into new gear or spending money to be in an open ring and work with my friends and develop new techniques, new talents. I spent a lot of time studying, you know, and spending money to get better study materials, you know. Just like with anything, there's a paywall behind quality. So if
Always.
there's,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
if there's something that I really want access to that not every other run-of-the-mill wrestler is going to have access to, I need to fork out that money to get that experience, you know. Same thing with going to, like, seminars. Um, so I love that part of the grind because I can feel myself growing and getting better. Um, I of course don't like being broke or like, uh,
Well, true.
you know, I don't like getting beat up like crazy doing 30 matches over 3 days. I mean, I love doing it, but I hate the way I feel the next morning. You know what I mean? So it's the grind is addictive and can become all consuming, but I don't see faster results in any technique but excess. So
Uh, Nothing in life worth doing is easy, you know. I mean,
mhm.
and you know, we akin a little bit this to one of Jamie's new favorite sayings. So we said some kind words to the Iron Sheik when he passed away a few weeks ago, and we had our favorite, you know, Iron Sheik memories, right? So me and Jamie were sharing back and forth, and it brought up a term called Iron Sheik heat, right? Because you're somewhat you're a student of the game, right? You know, and do you have you watched a lot of like 80s, early 90s WWE?
I have. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I do have to force myself to because it's not
Some of it
just
is, yeah.
piques my interest. Yeah, yeah. He's honestly a huge kind of red flag for me for obvious reasons, and like, but it's still stuff I watch because there's a reason that it worked and there's a reason why it mattered.
Right.
You know. So
It was
yes, I have watched it.
it was a
I'm
different.
not a
It's a different.
encyclopedia.
Oh no, you're
Yeah,
good. You're good. You're good. The point being is that it was a different time. Sergeant
yeah,
Slaughter and Iron Sheik, you know, were Iraqi sympathizers during the Desert Storm. I mean, stuff that today would get people like man. But it's like
yeah.
the amount in the back in the old days and even before that, his old feuds with Hulk Hogan and stuff, you know, is like just the level of heat he had, and it was natural and organic and massive. Others that come to mind that have similar sort of thing. Yes, the cheap heat is good, right? So what I was trying to say, you know, in my very long-winded way about it, sorry, you know, was, you know, yeah, the cheap heat's great, right? Get you that quick pop, but you know, the real heat you want is that stuff that you got to put the work in for. So you're good for
Yeah.
it. I mean,
In that, like you said, that it's changed so much because so many wrestlers will complain behind closed doors about, like, well, why can't my character be racist? Why can't my character be homophobic or sexist or whatever? And it's like, well, on Game of Thrones they can do this and no one cares. Well, you know, unfortunately,
It's different.
it was decided before. Well, and it's different because it was decided before our time that this was not fiction. It was decided well before us that this is blends the lines of fiction and reality, and maybe back in Iron Sheik's day when it's like people did not believe that he was anyone other than the Iron Sheik 24/7. No one believed that Sergeant Slaughter was anything but Sergeant Slaughter
Right.
24/7. So then you could do that stuff because we still perceive this as characters. But now when I know real life you, it's really hard for me to separate the choices you make, because it's like, are you going to go and say a slur on TV and then be on Twitter as like normal good guy you? Like, it's not, it's little slurs. And if
Social
you're willing
media,
to, yeah, well, and if you're willing to, sacrifice yourself up to, sheltering off from the world to keep kayfabe, sure, have fun.
Right? MJF comes to mind. First person comes to mind. Like, he lives and breathes his
But
character.
then he wants to. That's a conversation. But but then but it's just you pick interesting times to show your real world ideals, and I don't think there's a problem with that. But I just think there's a problem with consistency that isn't any one of our individuals' fault. It's
Yeah.
just the state of the art in the business at the time.
sure.
Yeah.
If we get to a place like Car Noir in England, his thing is I am Tom Dawkins and I play a Car Noir. If we get to a point where like kind of across the board it is felt like it is a theatrical experience in which we are a cast of characters, then maybe we'll be able to get back to that kind of reception and feeling and heat. But till then, you're not gonna have Joffreys in the ring. It's what it is.
Great analogy. So I do want to pivot back to you on you're saying like the grind is addictive and things like that. And one of the things like I coach competitive softball, like out of the many things I do. And I always tell the girls like it's the hard that makes it good. It's always that when you master something, you know something that most people don't know, and you make the hard look easy. And there's got to be a great sense of pride because we've seen you at Journey Pro multiple times, and we saw you first a heel, and loved you as a heel personally, and then we saw you transition to babyface there and loved you as a babyface there, and it's hard because in every region, this, like, hey, I have to be a heel tonight, I have to be a babyface tonight, but you're an actor by trade. Like, we've talked about this before, and I love this. Like, how does it feel to know, like, after your matches, you get done and you're like, they bought it. I a huge pop or huge booze. Like, you accomplished your goal. Like, how does that make you feel? And like, go into maybe some of the psychology behind like what you do in order to prepare for that.
Uh, it's a great feeling, and the reason is because the way that I look at wrestling, Chris Hero, I took a seminar of his, and he talked about this, where he said it really is important that people wrestle to where they are on the show. And I understand that that's not something that helps an individual rise above the ladder in the grand scheme of the business. However, I think in times past I've been in companies in which there wasn't a hyper clear delineation of where we were on the show in matters of importance or theme. And so then that leads to things that are quite difficult because everyone's just kind of winging it. But if we're all in the same show, it'd be like if you were watching peak Attitude Era WWF, and then all of a sudden they put on like a World of Sport match. It would be so striking in a negative way because you're like, this does not match the rest of this product. The rest of this product
Right.
is kick, punch, hot girls drinking beer, all this stuff. And then like, even William Regal, who existed in that era, was not doing the stuff that was being done, in the same wrestler, but he was able to adapt to fit the production that we were all collectively a part of. And so I personally really enjoy working for companies that has a through line. because if you see me as a one-off exhibitionist, there's things about me that are cool that you'll remember, but you'll connect way more with me if we're all kind of working towards the same thing. And I had to understand that. So like TWE, what's been great is like I went from like true blue underdog, lost my first however many matches, and then was fighting from underneath, fighting from underneath, fighting underneath. And even now, where like I'm the champion, I just wrestled Derek Neal, and we both had a claim to the title. Like I still have to pay credence to the fact that he's been the champion here for like 2 years and is the man and is older than me and more experienced than me. And I have to remember that I can't just go out there and be like, oh well, I'm gonna wrestle him the same way I'm gonna wrestle someone who's only been wrestling for 6 months and doesn't, have the same sort of presence or history with the crowd that I do. That's a really big part of my game that I've learned since working in the South, is understanding how your dance partner's reputation affects the story that we have to paint.
Do you find, because I know you make a good point there talking about wrestling in the South, and how you used to be semi home based out of here in Kansas City, right? Do you find that different regions have different kind of vibes to the matchmaking, the story arc tellings? Some places more spotty, some places more slapstick. Do you find that a lot more now that you kind of branched out into some different regions?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I noticed it when I went from the UK to America, and I thought that that was just like a country to country difference.
Sure.
But then I realized how it is way more hyper specific based off what region in the country you're wrestling in. The South, the most important part is your connection with the crowd. Singularly. Like there is nothing more important than that. I would say that that probably is the most important thing in wrestling across any style or any genre. But there are places that don't really care about what chant can we do together. How do I feel about you coming in? They do just kind of want to see you be an
Yeah.
athlete, be a sportsman, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but I think if you can do both, the thing that's going to be more important of the two is your connection. Um, and that's a big thing. And when I was in Journey, I felt a bit, and not that it's anyone's fault, it was just me being new and young in my career, but I felt a bit stifled in that, like, I felt like I was given a little and asked to do a lot with it. And although I felt like I did that to the best of my ability, I never felt like I had the opportunity to fully deliver what was being asked of me. And again, not to anyone's blame or fault, but now I feel like I have so many more keys that make me a utility player to any company I work for. Um, and that's kind of where I am now. Like I really feel like I understand what my contribution to a company is, what my contribution to a crowd is. I do things like look at a show and try and figure out what are they going to be getting a lot of from this menu of a match card. I know if I'm on a show with, let's say, Moonshine Mantel and Anaya, like that, they don't need to go watch me kick ass because like that's going to be the kick ass match for tonight. They don't need to see if they see, I don't know, Kenny Alfonso in Vikingo. I know I don't really need to do anything based on my agility. Like I feel like that's the thing that people miss, and like we all want to go out there
Mhm.
and do the best at the same thing, and that I think is such a ill-begotten opportunity. And what I think makes me special as a wrestler is I feel like I can do the slapstick, I can do the agility, I can go bang out there if you need me to go bang out there. I think I'm one of the best technical wrestlers in the United States of America. And so like I feel like now I'm becoming so much more well-rounded. Um, and not only well-rounded, but I feel a bit more like an adult in this industry. Whereas I felt like a kid probably 9 months ago. I felt like I was being led, and now I feel like I'm doing the leading. And
Baby
so that's
boys,
that's been a big thing.
baby boys, all grown up.
A little bit.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say these last 7 months must have been hard as hell on you because you have like grown, like where you were when we first talked to you to now, dude. It's a completely different person. Like the mindset is still always to improve and everything that hasn't changed, but the manner in which you're doing it now is completely different. And like the veteranism almost the way you're speaking of it. It's kind of badass. But I will.
Wily veteran Darian Bengston. Is that what you're getting at?
I kind of trying to get that vibe right now. But
Woo!
greatest technical wrestler in the United States. That's a bold ass statement, sir.
Not greatest, but I think I'm
One of the best. Sorry, one of the best.
yeah. I can say I'm top 20, no questions asked. I feel like I belong top 15. If I think about it more, maybe I could give myself a specific number. But because I feel like one, the technique is there, but I also feel like a lot of people's negative thoughts about technical wrestling is that it can be boring sometimes, and I don't feel like what I do is boring.
No.
I feel like I pretty consistently get reactions off the things that I'm desiring to get reactions out of.
Same.
I'm a technical wrestling mark, huge technical wrestling mark, and we've watched you, we've seen you, we know, and I want to see you now because it seems like you've grown even that much more. But I can attest, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and nondescript people, he is that damn good technically. I there's only one person in my mind that I think might be better than you right now, and he's old, and you're not. So there you go. I'm not gonna name names, but I yell at him.
You're not gonna name names, but it is the person who Jamie would like to see do a lion tamer. Very much.
See, and he's one of the ones that I hold him higher than myself personally. And of course, like as he should be. For one, he's just unbelievably talented, but he knows his stuff so well, and he's been doing it for way longer than me. You know, when I watch him, I don't mean this in a negative way, but his work looks thoughtless. Like he doesn't have to think about what he's doing.
Flows, yes.
It's him so well, you know. To me he's so ill, and I have so much respect for him, and I would never try and like.
I'll say his name. We're talking about Jeremy Wyatt here, okay?
Yeah.
Jamie doesn't want to utter the name because.
Oh no, I love him, hate him, and love him. It's one of those things. Like we have this beautiful love-hate relationship, but it's probably
he almost turned face in front of us. It was somewhat surreal. Yeah,
See? He even got me like the consummate heel.
Yeah, but
almost. Billy Starks and Mia Yamashita were getting attacked by Moonshine Mantel.
Greg Jovi's gang.
Jovi's gang, yeah. So, and he actually came out to make the save. So it's like that was a semi-face turn for him.
Crazy. He can do it though. If he wanted to, he could. He's so ill. Like
he's great.
He gets it, and yeah, man. I just and he's one of those.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking like him. Like we had a very brief interaction at one of the Kansas like fair shows that Journey ran, and it was fine. But even at the time, he was saying like, "This isn't going to be the thing that we need to like put our souls into. Like there'll be something down the line that's going to matter a lot more." And he was 100% right. And I think at that time, like I've said, I think I've developed and grown so much since. I would have been a bit backless when it came to meeting his challenge. I would have felt like I am the young man here, and everyone knows that he is the resident guy, and they know what this is and what the result of this is going to be. And I'm not that kind of person anymore. I'm not that kind of wrestler anymore. I think all the time about the Chris Bay match, the baseball field. And although I think it was good, and unfortunately it was very garnered towards a story that we were never able to finish because of the circumstances.
That event was cursed.
But I
for reasons we won't get
so many. But I just think that like even with him, Chris, who is a good friend of mine, like there's a better match in us because I think I was being very clinical and very safe at the time because I felt like my position was here and was to not overstep. And I just think that's not the case anymore. In the time since I've worked with people who I genuinely think are some of the best in the world, and they valued the things that I brought forth, and so that's I think that was a thing that was majorly missing for me at the time. I didn't feel that value. I didn't feel like I was important to the company, and not that they didn't do anything to make me feel that way. I think I just saw the people ahead of me in kind of like the pecking order in the chain. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's their place to be, and this is my place to be, and I'm just gonna be minute. Like this is about telling their stories, and I'm just a vehicle for that. And now I don't feel that way anymore. And again, it's not like I was bullied or anything by anyone.
Oh no! We're not saying you were.
It's almost to bring a tear to my eye, like how like grown you've gotten just in 7 months. It must have been hard times. Hard times. Damn it. Oh, sorry.
It was. I mean,
I
that
need to
like
put that on my soundboard.
that was journey in the Kansas City scene was my anchor. That's all. When I came to America, that's the only thing I had. And to have lost that, I wasn't training at the place I was training at in Atlanta anymore, and it was just like we're at absolute ground zero, and we got to figure some stuff out quick, because I'll just go stagnant here, and that won't be good for anyone. So thankfully, Naptown starts popping off for me, TWE starts popping off for me, Grab House starts popping off for me, and people get familiar and reach out and all that stuff. So like it's one of those things like I've never like submitted or anything like that. I don't really care to, but it's like I think with the next 6 months I'm about to have, I'm something where it's like I'm for real on people's radar.
Which is
in a
awesome.
very serious
Get
way.
your flowers. Get your flowers, man.
You want to share the news with them?
How about you do it? I've been talking a lot.
So I don't know. So if you follow or not, you familiar with people in and around Journey Pro, ourselves included, right? And yes, it was sad when they went under. The bashing of circumstances. We're not going to get into any of that or the politics or any of that jazz.
Yeah.
That's the wrestling business, folks. I remember I know you're sitting in Zicky Dice's office right now. You're borrowing his setup here. And I remember Zicky, I think it was post the first like Outlandish had mentioned, it was on Twitch and he was streaming and, the kind of the wrap up and everything, the day after, weekend after, or whatever. And it's like, and I was like, what is your advice for starting a wrestling? Don't is always, everybody, so it's a fickle business. It comes and it goes.
Yeah.
But speaking of coming, there's something new coming to town because it was announced today. It was officially put on the internet by one Mr. Hartzell Gray. Okay. And we are familiar with some others who were involved that told us kind of before the official announcement that in 2024, the spirit of Journey, which was the spirit of NWL, lives on with Fountain City Pro.
Whoa. Wow. I hadn't heard anything. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's super
Literally
crazy.
just got announced, and we knew we heard rumblings, murmurs.
We knew some
rumors.
underpinning of the stuff, but
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting.
yeah. So right now there's a logo and an announcement. That's all there is. But like I said,
It says 2024, so there's
which
time.
is perfect,
Yeah.
I believe, because that gives them time to get a good footing, right?
You wouldn't want to rush it. No.
Let's make sure we do this right. Journey Pro was a miracle that they survived post-pandemic, but then it was a new Journey Pro, health things, ownership change, the whole 9 yards, right? The spirit's going to live on, though. So we should see you again soon in Kansas City in about 6 months.
I love that. I mean, because my thing, like, I didn't, when everything was said and done there, like, I had nothing but, kind of gratitude for the things it was allowed me to learn, both like good lessons and bad lessons, and so to hear that it's still going is really, really cool. Really, really cool. Yeah. And, I have no bad feelings with anyone from the end of that. Like, everything was really great with me, and I enjoyed everyone and had my debriefings and talks to everyone. So I'm glad something's happening.
Are you still in touch with any of the regulars out of?
We know you're in a little bit of a different
like
area.
the wrestlers?
Yeah, the guys.
Yeah. I speak pretty frequently with Bishop, Campbell, Kenny, and Micah. Pretty frequently.
Sorry about Campbell.
Yeah. Me, I I bought him. Well, that was honestly Campbell was one of the reasons I really started to notice, and it started kind of like weigh on me that I'd been gone for so long because I've been back to Missouri since December.
Yeah.
Um, my parents live in Kansas City, and Journey was like a good reason for me to go and see my family, and I haven't done so since. But when I was in LA WrestleMania week, I found this really cool Japanese release poster for Halloween on a T-shirt. And
Awesome.
I text Campbell and I was like, "Do you want this?" And he was like, "How much on it?" I was like, "Bro, do you want it?" And he was
It's
like, "Yeah." So I got it for him. Haven't seen
very
him since to give it to him. So I'm like, "Oh man, like that's crazy."
You got a really cool Halloween T-shirt. That no, I'm kidding. No,
Just collecting dust, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'll talk with people, and
mm-hmm.
I follow the schools page.
Oh, okay.
So I'll see what's going on with like the school and everything. I talked to Heidi Howitzer quite a bit.
She's all right.
I talked to Heidi, yeah, yeah. For the
Actually,
most part.
Austin's on our show a lot, like our
He's
regular
become like a reoccurring
AEW.
guy. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. How about I was like, sure, hop on. So we have his Austin Reddick stash of knowledge.
Oh yeah, I'm all for that. Austin's great. I love Austin.
He's hilarious.
But yeah, like that's it for the most part. I see people journey and like anarchy adjacent folks. Like I see Derek Neal quite a bit,
Right.
obviously. Which is so crazy. Never ever met or ran into Derek Neal in any of those Kansas City, St. Louis shows,
Huh.
and like one of the biggest moments of my career thus far is directly linked to him. You know, because he's the Gateway Heritage Champion, I think.
He is the
Or
Gateway
was.
Heritage.
Yeah.
He is. He's going up against Jeremy at Circus Maximus.
Got you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so that's great. Like, that was the title when I first came back to America.
Right.
And now I've just wrestled and beat him.
So I'm
And beat
hearing
him.
that Darian Bengston's laying claim to the Gateway Heritage Championship. No.
I
Dude,
don't know.
yes. Let's make
I
it
just
happen.
know I just know a Journey belt existed,
It still exists.
and I feel like a lot of the people in and around that title have been very Journey adjacent. And not so much like regulars. Not that like that there's anything wrong with them for that, but I'm just like, I'll just never forget the importance of that. How important it felt to me at one point, And
Because that tournament was really kind of a turning point for you in Journey Pro, right? The coffee shops, you had your scrambles and your wins, and you had your that great heel promo you cut, about was it 2 DJ, I think, or
I remember I would get into a DJ a lot, especially at the coffee shop. I was having matches with like Tootie and Trevor Aon, and like I had like a big win of like multi-mans, and it was me every time.
right?
And
Yeah, like 3 in a row.
Yeah. But yeah, then tournament, me and Cody, me and Dak, me and Christian. So it was like, yeah, the tournament was the turning point for me. Then there was a lot, kind of like stop star stuff about like tweener, heel face, whatever. But once we got there, we got there, and it all made sense by the time I had that last match with Luke, which I loved so much. I'm kind of bummed out it wasn't on camera, but that match with Luke for the final show, like
Yeah.
full babyface reaction, full babyface match with a really, really good opponent, and I loved it. It although we didn't hit there was a lot of story threads left undone for me. Like I was still really happy with the ending of it. Out there with Mike too, like I had Mike Seidel with me at the end too. Like,
Oh yeah,
That was
And
really cool.
Mike's finally his return, right? Was the last one.
Yeah. So, let's get away from wrestling because it wouldn't be us if we didn't talk about wrestling. So, what movies you been watching? Because I remember you were a big cinephile like me. So what have you been watching lately?
Last night, me and my girlfriend watched The Invisible Man, which I had seen before.
The OG?
No, the recent one with
yeah,
Shorty from Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah, dude, that's
Oh,
so
okay,
good.
okay.
It
So
was
good.
really, and I felt like because I watched it like when it first was out, and I was like, this came out of nowhere, and was like a really, really, really good interpretation and version of the story, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Watched it with her. She's not as much of a horror person as me, but she liked it for the sci-fi aspect, you know. But yeah, I love that. I think I'm terrible right now, but the lead actress in that, she's amazing in everything I watch her, and I think she's so good. She was in Us as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, that I was really into that. I've been trying to make my way through quite a bit of stuff because I felt like I've been really behind. Like I got to a point where I was like so in my like wrestling study that I just like had
Right.
kind of stuff. But I'm trying to think because I know I've actually like gone out and seen stuff recently. I'm just having such a hard time thinking of like what I did. Oh, I watched another like thriller. It was with Blake Lively and uh homegirl from the singing movie. I feel so bad. I can't think of what that is.
Was it like a
Uh,
recent one, or is it something that came out a little bit ago and you just now saw?
A Simple Favor. That's what it's called from 2016.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah. Simple Favor, yes.
Yeah.
That is actually low key pretty solid. That's got Anna Kendrick in it.
Yeah, she's the lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know which
And
one.
there's so many
Yeah,
crazy twists in it. And
it's like
yeah,
a
I was really,
psychological,
really
isn't it?
impressed. Yeah. And you just, it's one of those, you have an unreliable narrator. The situation is already really weird and kind of like mysterious. And like, you just don't know who to root for, if you should be rooting for anyone, what is really happening. I really enjoy that. But yeah, that's been as far as films gone. Some of the big things I've seen recently.
Are you
What
excited for
about
anything coming out?
Evil Dead Rise? Did you see Evil Dead Rise yet?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh,
I
Oh.
want to so bad because Evil Dead's my jam.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I have my girlfriend just accepted a tour on a cruise ship in Barcelona for 6 months. So I'm about to be significant otherless for 6 months, and so I'm like really trying to spend time with her. And I just feel like she has a irrational fear about like eye stuff, and I'm like, no, if
oh,
we go to this movie, I know there's gonna be eye stuff.
oh,
So
Always.
oh yeah.
I know. So I was like, I can't do that. I can't. So I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting, and then when she's, I'll check it out
You're just
because I know I
avoiding
keep
like
on like,
nobody talk to me about it, nobody do anything. Is that what you're
yeah.
going?
So I haven't been spoiled at all. My siblings
Okay.
saw it. They said they loved it, but I haven't been spoiled anything at all. And I know I think it's HBO Max. It's on.
It's on HBO Max now. I have seen it. Um, it is. It. I will say this.
Yeah.
It is definitely in the canon of Evil Dead. Like but it's not Evil Dead. If that makes sense.
100%. So it's more because like that remake from like 2014 or whatever, that didn't feel very canon, but this one does feel more like in that same
Yeah,
world.
you get some of that. There's still like there's a little like there's a little campiness,
Yeah.
some fun jokes there, but definite gore. Like it takes from both sides really well. Because the 14 one, I love the 14 one because it was completely offshoot, and
Yeah.
it felt like a completely different movie to me in all reality. And then this one kind of blends a little bit better.
Oh,
Still great though.
oh yeah. That's dope. I love that.
There you go.
Oh.
There's my take on Evil Dead Rise.
His non-spoilery take on
Mm.
the next Evil Dead Rise.
I'm stoked.
So you lining up Evil Dead? You lining up other stuff, in preparation, knowing that your girl's going to be away, and so it's like now's my chance to get the stuff in, right?
Oh yeah. I that's gonna be my escape thing, right? When I don't want to think about wrestling and I don't want to think about life. That's gonna be my thing that only I, in my immediate circle care about, and I can just go alone and, live in that. Oh, because that's what it was. It was I watched Howl's Moving Castle for the first time in like 15 years. Uh,
Hmm.
but that was even a character study. A promoter I worked for was like, "Hey, I want you to watch this and take stuff from it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Loved it. But
Cool.
like sometimes watching movies is like still doing research.
Well,
That's awesome.
That stuck out to me from our, when we first met you in our first interview with you way back in the day. Which, if you want to go check out, there's a little balloon popping up. Y'all click the balloon, check out our first interview with Darian. The correlation between, I think we were talking more about like, stage acting because, the background stuff in London and whatnot, but the correlation between that acting and wrestling. I mean, we talked to Aaron Williams not too long ago. We did an interview with him, and he really brought that up a lot too about the acting bit. And I thought it's a common thread we see with people like yourself that are in the business, care about the arc and not just going out there and doing 50,000 Spanish flies and all that cool shit that's going to get me happy. It is the link between, the really good acting and really good wrestling storytelling, right?
I think that's a huge part of it. Like I said earlier, like I think your connection to the crowd can be very important, and sometimes that's even more important than like a story. The classic examples is like The Rock and Austin and stuff. It's like maybe they weren't going to go work a program or have a story with this, but they understood their character so well and their connection to the crowd so well that they know if I go do this, they're going to do this, and that's that's becoming more and more the whole idea of like conditioning wrestling audiences to recognize patterns in our work. That is what I think is like the true genius of what we do, is like if I can do something that's almost the same way every single time, but I make just these little changes that either, the way I've been explaining it lately to everyone is like wrestling is ASMR. It is a thing that we watch to get satisfaction out of. Every single time Cena's going to duck that line, a big shoulder tackle, every single time, no matter what kind of a wrestler it is. They may never throw a punch ever. They're going to throw, you're going to miss, big power bomb, big hand up, big thing. We're conditioned. We know. We know if Jeff Hardy gets whipped in the corner, he's going to do the whisper in the wind. We know. And so it's like, I think, in like pandemic times, it was like ASMR stuff became really big. You'd see someone squeeze a big thing of goop or bake a cake and slice into it and see them, and it was all about the satisfaction of things paying off the way that we thought they would in our brain. And the only thing that wrestling is how can we keep giving people the thing that satisfies their brain because they're seeing sequences and patterns they recognize subconsciously pay off, and then we either make it better by not delivering something that they liked when they thought they were going to be upset, or we take that away in the case of heels being up and things like that, And so that's the thing I've been telling people lately. It's like what makes a really, really good wrestler is being able to create these patterns and divert from them in a way that's interesting. That's what does it for me. It's like, I know that this crowd loves when I do that. So if I start to do it and the bad guy stops me, but then I do it anyway sometime later when they're not expecting it, it's euphoric. It's all of these things, and it's literally just tweaking your relationship with them.
It's like doing a lion tamer, like you threaten you're going to do it, and then something happens, and then you come back and actually do it.
You get it, yeah, as a surprise.
You'll pop.
Dude, he brought Lion Tamer into a work presentation this week.
Sure did. Because it says, it's like we were doing this thing. It says like we were able to show position now. So since I'm doing it, so I just typed in there lion tamer expert.
What other position does he want to see?
I have a lion tamer guy, like my version of a lion tamer guy at Naptown. It's now a couple of fans, but originally there was someone in the crowd who, no matter what I did, every time I was in the ring, would just go kiss, 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 kiss every time. And I think I had wrestled someone once, and they ducked a clothesline, and I turned around, and they kissed me, and it was like a big reaction. But then every single show after that, people are just screaming for it, going nuts, and I'm like, what the hell? And so now it's like, okay, I have this relationship with this audience where they want to see me kiss someone.
Use it.
And so now what we're going to do every show is give it to them, not give it to them, or pay it off way bigger. That it's like, but that
Right.
has to be a part of the act now because it's what we've built. But I have it. Yeah. So every show, it's just about how do we get to the line tamer? How do we get to the spot? How do we get to the kiss? We always got to we'll duck and dive and dodge and everything, but that kiss has to happen.
Yeah, you have a compatriot in other promotions,
Yeah,
Jamie.
well, I'm just glad that he has his own lion tamer guy. So it's like I was completely the lion tamer guy for the
You were
longest
the first.
time.
You were, yeah. That was the reputation. It's cool to have that, though. Obviously, everyone talks about the smiley face guy in WWE who always sits in the front row.
Yeah.
You need those guys. You need the lion tamer guy. You need the super dragon guy. Like, we need those.
But Jamie introduces himself like that after a while because it's like, to some talent. It's like you're enjoying pro. You ever hear the guy keeps yelling lion tamer all the time? Oh yeah, I know that's me. Right? Oh, okay, right?
Yeah, you get the usual reaction of oh yeah or oh yeah.
Oh,
you're
that guy.
Yeah, you're that guy. But yeah, like I know, like Anaya. I think Anaya is the first one that gave me that reaction.
That's
I
very
wouldn't expect
Anaya
anything
reaction.
less from Anaya.
Very Anaya reaction. All right, so if you don't mind, we played some impossible games with you before, Darian.
Yeah.
I want to mix it up a little bit, Jamie. I don't know if you had one prepared or not.
I do, but I wonder what yours is.
Okay, all right. So I was thinking we already did our standard impossible games.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we give it a little tweak? We're gonna take a boat ride back to the deserted island. Okay, so if you remember, back in the deserted island, you could pick two. You're in charge of the music, right? Okay, so you could pick one album.
Did we do albums that time, or did we do movies? I remember my answer for movies because it was like one every day and one once a year or something.
Yeah. Those movies. I think we did movies for.
We did movies.
We did all movies. I thought we did a music one. Okay.
I don't remember if we did music.
Because I picked. I think Black Dynamite for my everyday, and Straight Outta Compton was my once a year, or vice versa.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, because I had 7 as one of mine, and Willy Wonka.
My day ran short. I was going to rewatch our old interview, which again you can see up, the little balloon there, and check and see what your answers were because I thought we did the music. So my initial swerve is getting sunken quickly, so we're gonna pivot, and you're on this island. You're back again. You escape, but somehow you ended back up on there. Okay. Yeah. Now. The movies are still going, but they're totally silent. The only thing you can do is play music. Okay?
Okay.
So you are now in charge of the music for everybody. That doesn't have to match up. It can be whatever the hell you want, right? You're gonna have an album that's gonna run 24/7. Okay? Not a song, not an artist, a singular album that'll run 24/7. And then once a year, you get to play a second album.
That's difficult. Is it just for me?
Yeah, we've already done it.
We've done this a lot. I had. I thought.
Am I picking an album that like me and a group of people have to listen to, or just?
It's completely up to you.
It's
completely up to you. There can be people. There could not be people. It doesn't matter. You're in charge of the music, and you're the only decision who counts.
Yeah, no girlfriend influence. It's just what you want to hear, man.
Yes.
Okay. I'm married. I know what that is.
And we'll let you think about it for a second. So we'll tell you what ours were. So I went with, I like a lot of different types of music, but I always shine towards rock in one way or another. Favorite band of all time is Rage Against the Machine. Rage Against the Machine self-titled, 24/7. That's my jam. So I got that. And then once a year, I wanted to have a little sentimental thing. Reminds me of my father a little bit. I did Led Zeppelin 4 is my once a year one.
That's solid. And mine was Dark Side of the Moon every day. I feel like that's just mellow, perfect. It has highs, lows, everything. And I'm like, I need a laugh. I need something to laugh and maybe a little bit harder. So I went with Steel Panthers, Feel the Steel, which I don't expect you to know.
I know Steel Panther.
Yeah.
I see. Oh yeah. I get both those, and I get why too. Because my answers also are kind of like chosen for the same reasons. I'd say my everyday album. It's not a very famous album, but my everyday album is called "Come Outside." I promise we're not gonna jump you by Father. For the same reasons that you had picked yours, which was it's mellow. It has highs and it has lows, but it's very good. Like it's in the middle with hints of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't feel like I'm listening to a album that makes me super depressed all day. I'm not listening to an album that makes me super angry all day. But it gives me kind of a little bit of everything that I want. But my once a year is probably Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That's probably my once a year.
Yes.
It could have genuinely been my everyday too.
I mean, that's a
That's
great
a great
everyday.
album.
Yeah, it could have been my everyday. I just thought that like there are albums that can't be my everyday.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because that one, I'll miss that one, and so that one time a year will be really special when I get to listen to it.
Yeah. I mean, I would put that in the classification of a perfect album, you know.
Yeah, me
It
and
really is. I'm looking at it now again.
there's not really skips, and like I've had like shouting arguments with friends before about like you remove one song from the album, which one isn't? And
Ooh, that's a good
No,
game.
no,
yeah, it's like
not this album.
That's the
you
well,
have
you don't.
to take one off.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do it on the album, but that's a good impossible game. We'll talk about that later, Jamie.
Yeah,
Oh.
we got into. I think our split was, I would say from Spiders from Mars. My one takeoff would be "It Ain't Easy." Still love it. Still think it's amazing.
Mhm.
It is a
Yeah.
cover, and that's one of the reasons why I was like, I'll live without it. It does feel very different from everything else on the album, not in a bad way. But my friend wanted to get rid of Star, and those were fighting words for me. I could not believe that he wanted to get rid of Star. I was
No.
I would
like,
get rid of Soul Love over Star, and I
I
love
love.
Soul Love.
I wouldn't
I
get
was
rid of
so
either.
yeah. I'm a Soul Love guy.
I
Soul
wouldn't
Love.
get rid of
Yeah,
either of those.
yeah,
Those
but
are-
Star is yeah.
the ranking you put, I get what you're saying, Jamie, but yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Like I mean, yeah. You
oh.
don't do that. Damn.
Yeah.
5 years?
That's how, because that's the whole tone setter for the entire thing. You
Right.
know, it's the very first song on the album. It tells the story of the man coming to Earth and saying we have 5 years left to live, and he's trying to save us, and all this. You know, I feel like sets the backdrop. If that album is a narrative album, and we are telling a story from start to finish, I don't feel like you can get rid of the start or the finish.
Mm.
And with that one, it almost has two finishes because you have 5 years at the start. Ziggy Stardust is a finish of the story, but Rock and Roll Suicide is just as easily a finish, and I think the actual last song on the album.
Love that song.
So it's like I don't think you can get rid of any of those three. I don't think you can get rid of Moon Age Daydream. I don't think you can get rid of Starman.
You
might
don't,
be able to
you
get
don't
rid
touch
of
Starman. You don't touch
No,
Starman.
no. You could get okay, so you could get rid of Starman and have it as its own thing. Because I feel like the entire story still gets completed even without that song.
Well, some people think that Starman is the introduction of the character of Ziggy Stardust, like to Earth. Like if he has fallen to Earth, 5 years we've heard the radio station and the news stations tell us it's happening. Starman is like he's here, you know. But that's all because there's not a specific outlined. This is the official canon of this album story. But I agree because that totally could be a single. It feels like it almost belongs on Hunky Dory more than it belongs on Spiders from Mars. That Lady
Yeah.
Stardust as well kind of have those, more chimey, more laid back.
I wish more people did, thematic albums, man, and rock op. It's just so good. All right, but we're not getting any songs, so those are your albums. Those are your albums.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes. You get to keep
Those are my picks.
all of
Those are my
it.
picks.
All of it.
All right. I thought we did that with music last time. My apologies. So next
That was
time we
okay.
come in, I'll have another game we'll play.
I'm all for it.
I'll do an offshoot. So Jamie, what's your impossible game you got?
Okay, so mine's not an impossible game.
Mhm.
Because you are such a good talker, and you are a grown wrestler now and before our very eyes.
You all
I
grown
felt-
up.
We've been doing a lot of these Mount Rushmores lately,
Ooh.
and I feel like this would be a fun one for you specifically. Mount Rushmores of talkers. Who is your Mount Rushmore of the best in-ring talkers of all time?
Okay, I have 4 that immediately came to mind,
Wow.
but I haven't thought enough to like decide if there's anyone that comes between them.
How about do this? We've done this before with a few people. We do like one at a time. We'll go around.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that
we all
works.
pick one, and then we go 2. Yeah, that makes it easy.
And there can
'cause
be
they decide
overlap.
the
You don't
top.
have to choose somebody different than everyone else, but it's just your Mount Rushmore.
Mhm.
So
Uh, then my first submission into Mount Rushmore, Samoa Joe. I was talking about this with my girlfriend today. Like, I think it's really weird that he isn't brought up as much as he is because every 3 months you see a clip of a old Samoa Joe promo do the rounds. And there's other guys who are great talkers, great whatever, but like I don't see their stuff get like it's constantly in rotation every 3 months. Whether it's stuff with him and AJ Styles, or if it's stuff with him and Jeff Hardy, whether it's the promo on Kevin Nash and Scott Hall back in TNA,
That's one
like
of my favorite promos for him of all time.
it's amazing. And he's good. I can't think of a bad one. You know what I mean? Like he's so good that if his mid or average promos were someone else's, it'd be their career defining one. Like I think about that all the
I
time.
give it to you.
I think about him and Brock Lesnar, like or the stuff with Paul Heyman, any of that stuff. He's so good and has consistently been good forever.
The stuff he did on Up Up Down Down was.
Yeah.
I mean, he did video game, the power game, and 2 axes, no problem. You just cut the promo wherever he goes.
He's that guy. Yeah. So he's my first pick.
That's a solid first pick. JJ, what's your first?
My first is no surprise. If you know me, you know where I'm going with this. Fight me if you have any argument. Ric Flair, front and center on the Talking Hall of Fame, Mount Rushmore. That's it. You can't even argue it. I'm just gonna say Ric Flair because obviously.
Well, I guess I should ask this before. Is this like our personal? Or okay, because I was about to say if it's all time, like that's a very different answer.
Okay,
period all time objectively, and yeah, Ric Flair is I think questionably on that.
Well, and see, and I don't know if you've heard me tell the story or not, Darian, but see, I grew up in Central Illinois when I was young. Moved to Missouri, right before high school. So my youth, was spent. And the old Hulk Hogan days and all that, Bret Hart and all that, I lived in Illinois. So we were lucky enough in Illinois that, and I'm old enough, that Saturday morning cartoons go to noon. And then we had, some, you had the Saved by the Bell stuff, whatever. But the early afternoon, you had mixed programming. And on one of the channels, we got the Jim Crockett Promotions weekly recap of whatever the hell it was called, right? Saturday at 1:00. I just gotten into wrestling in general, right? And it's more wrestling, and there's no internet back in the day, right? None of that shit. So it's like you want to consume it. Here's something to consume, and so I turn it on right after Saturday morning, teen dramas and shit, and here's Ric Flair standing there with Tony Schiavone holding a mic in front of him. And I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. And I'm like 9, you're right, 10 years old. But it's just the guy, charisma, and he just went to town and the woos. And it just, it was nothing like what I had seen on, WWE, on all their shows. And I loved it so much. So that was my introduction, really, to WCW, the precursor to WCW, but Ric Flair. And I've been a Flair guy ever since. If I ever get a wrestling tattoo, it's going to be like an 80s style caricature of that Ric Flair in interview format, right? Just a bust of him. It's like bright lights, big cities, and like neon letters above and below him.
That's so cool. That's dope.
That's cool.
I've almost got a tattoo like 5 times on my leg. One day I'll get it. We'll see.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. We
Real
know
quick, there's a guy. He signed AEW, Jack Jameson, and he has like an iconography tattoo of the limousine riding promo. So he has
on
like
his
a limousine.
Oh, I love that.
Like wheel and deal, like he has a wheel. Like each picture is one part of the promo. It's so crazy.
I want to steal that. That's amazing.
That's
Great idea.
He's with the guys that used to be Bear Country.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're the muscle whatever now, right?
Iron.
Or Iron Savages. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's their manager guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've seen some of their stuff on Being the Elite.
Mhm.
So I've seen them cut some promos on there, which is good for them. All right, my number one, my first guy, it was a connection thing, 100% connection to your point, and I quoted him earlier, and that is one Dusty Rose, American Dream, baby.
Mm. Again, yeah, there's no debating that. That's just
He's the working man. Like everybody could resonate with him. Like he was just, no matter who you were,
Son
I
of a
get
plumber,
you.
right? All you gotta do is like say a phrase, and everybody knows you're talking about Dusty Rhodes, right?
100%. Eddie Kingston is on mine as well.
Ooh.
Just unbelievable talker. I believe everything he says. I believe he really cares. I believe he's really heartbroken when he says he's heartbroken. Like,
I 100% believe he doesn't like half the people he says he doesn't like.
1000% believe that.
yes.
I know he does. He really doesn't like Claudio, for real.
Really doesn't like Hero at all. And that's
Yeah.
difficult because I love them both so much. They're maybe both my personal top 5, and met them both in real life, and they've both been nothing but amazing to me. So that hurts. That's real.
Yeah, that sucks.
Kingston's amazing. My number 2 is maybe a low hanging fruit too, but best talker of the Attitude Era, The Rock. I mean,
Again, it's such an
It's-
objective choice. I don't see how anyone could argue.
I still pop when I hear the with your spell. It's like every time. I can't help it.
Yeah. So the hairs go up, man. You know, he's the most electrifying man in all sports entertainment. All right, my number 2. I'm gonna go the manager route this time,
Oh, okay.
and fight me on this, Paul Heyman.
No, I can't fight you on that.
Yeah,
His work in ECW alone.
Yeah.
he's great. I had 2 that I was debating over. One that I want to keep for sure, but I'm gonna say Kurt Angle.
Oh, okay.
Because talking by yourself is one thing, but he could talk with anyone, which I thought was sick. He could talk by himself too, and people don't value comedy enough either. Kurt could totally believe that he was going to for real kill you and end your life, and also he could be the goofiest. I'm a man who loves to play with boys. Like he could hit that
Yeah.
easily. He could do the main event mafia stuff like it was nothing.
His stuff in
like,
TNA, I think it's overshadowed a lot, because
yeah, because it's they always talk about like the longest part of his career is in TNA. He has the most amount of accolades in TNA. Like that run is unbelievable, but because his work was always unbelievable, it gets kind of forgotten about.
yeah.
But unbelievable guy. So yeah, he's probably my number 3.
Okay. Part of me wanted to kind of go down the manager route as well and say Bobby the Brain Heenan, but because he did so much announcing, I think that the line gets a little blurred there, because it's like you might know maybe it's more from his announcing than his actual the talk, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with another oldie but a goodie. And I got my soundboard up, so I got a little bite here. You guys won't be able to hear this. It'll be amazing when you watch the video, though.
I'm the tower of power, too sweet to be sour. I'm funky like a monkey. Sky's the limit and space is the place.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Iconic.
Big time. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the cream of the crop and I rise to the top. Just when I was a kid, he
so many
was
quotable lines.
so many quotable lines, so many
I
things.
got you for 3 minutes.
Right.
I mean,
Like
he was the most outlandish thing. And if you take it and just like remove it, that timeline and look at it in like a vacuum, you're like, what in the shit is that thing, right? Look at that man with the stuff and the glasses and and why is he talking? But he was so amazing. And everybody loved Macho. Everybody loved Mach. I mean, like, even when he was a heel, he was never a heel. They couldn't make him heel. They tried to make him heel in WWE. It didn't work. And they made the stupid, Towers of Power or whatever the hell, the superpowers. And
the mega powers.
Whatever. Macho Man's number 3 for me.
That's fire pick. I'm because I'm a DDP kid. I'm a Macho Man kid.
Okay.
I mean, DDP.
He attributes all of his success to Macho. He said if Macho doesn't put him over, he never becomes who he becomes.
Yeah.
So I can never go against that. I think Macho's amazing.
So my number 3, rest in peace, Roddy Piper.
Why?
Just the Snake Pit.
Roddy was the original talk show, the original wrestling talk show.
I feel like y'all picked all very objectively true one. I feel like I was maybe a bit more risque with mine.
Yeah.
Well, we're also a little bit older than you, so you look at the timeline of when we're referring to some stuff.
For me, I could say Ric Flair, but would it have been interesting for me to go as your guest? You know what I'm saying? Would it have been interesting for me to be yeah, Ric Flair, The Rock, John Cena, and Austin? Or whoever, just because they're so there was no touching them. There's it's not even a
right.
People can go, LeBron or Jordan, but this, I feel like those guys are so clear cut. No one's touching them, and there won't be a case for anyone to touch their legacy for at least another 20 years. Sure. I think. So I've picked a really wild last one.
Oh, I like really wild. Let's go.
And it goes back to why I think Kurt Angle should be appreciated more as a talker, is being able to just make anything work. Anything they ask of you, you will make it work. And I don't think anyone in wrestling history has made more things work than R-Truth.
Respect.
Is solid.
Respect.
I just think every single thing he's ever been a part of, he's been good at.
Little Jimmy be so happy.
And he's been a part of some not good things.
He was a tag team champion with Pac-Man Jones.
The truth is the one, so it's he's so good, always been good. Even when he's been serious, he's been good. The cigarette smoke over the body thing is crazy. His TNA stuff where he was being serious was crazy. But again, like Samoa Joe, he's another person where every 3 months you see an R-Truth segment in rotation online. You see his entrance into the Royal Rumble thinking that he was facing Paul Heyman. And he cuts the whole promo and everyone thinks it's on Brock Lesnar, and then he realizes that it's not about Paul Heyman, and he freaks out. He undeclares for the Royal Rumble. He's just the talking. Little Jimmy is a death sentence in anyone else's hands, I think.
Little Jimmy.
He made an imaginary character thing work.
Yeah. And people pop for it every time he said it. It was sick. How do you do that? Yeah.
Little Jimmy.
I'd say one of the best programs in the last couple of years is the United States 4-way between him, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, and Andrade. Those 4 just had stupid chemistry. All of the segments were amazing. They have a whole program for WrestleMania season, and I feel like it goes really untalked about, but I think those 4 were cooking. They were maybe the best thing happening that year.
Yeah. Wow.
Indeed. My 4th is it's very much a personal choice for me. So I've got some that are pretty much like you said, they're gonna be up there on everybody's list, but they are for me as well. This one here is definitely a personal choice, which I don't think many people would. And I think it's a damn shame. He was the voice of Abyss when Abyss was still the monster. Reverend James Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
A man that wanted to be a manager in wrestling so bad, he basically gambled every penny he or put himself through hell, personally wise, to get into wrestling and become that. And he made it work. And my God, the fervency behind how he spoke is what I loved. Is a man who legitimately believed that when he was giving a promo, it is the demon's priest speaking in real life, right? You know, buying into the bit. I love him. Love him.
Committed to the bit. Committed to the bit.
Committed to even, you know us. Committed
To the bit.
Since I've lived in the South, there's a whole other level of respect on his name down here.
Oh yeah.
Every single locker room leader that I have ever run into in the South has been like, James Mitchell is my guy, and James Mitchell has done things for me, like either in my personal life or inspiration wise for my career. I feel like he is very much an unsung hero. Because I'm a DDP kid, I'm a Canyon kid, and so all of his Canyon with Mortis, any of that stuff, is huge with me. It's absolutely huge with me.
So that's 2 Mount Rushmores complete. Jamie?
So
I got one of 2 names I'm expecting here, and I'm thinking you're probably gonna throw me for a loop. But go.
You're not gonna hear Shawn Michaels. He's not on my list.
Okay.
He's great in other ways, but his talking was not top.
He's made all his other Mount Rushmore, so he's got to be.
Made all my other ones.
Right.
You know, and I want to put Chris Jericho on there because he is so damn good.
1,004 holds.
Pick.
I mean, I have to. Like, I was going to do him, or I was going to do Jesse the Body Ventura. But Jesse the Body Ventura also did announcing, but he was amazing. But I'm going to go to Jericho. Of course.
I mean, you can't not have Jericho on your. You've quoted his old promos how many thousands of times on this show and in a wrestling show? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You're also the Lion Tamer guy.
Exactly. Like,
on brand, committed to the bit.
Right.
Yes. Jericho Mark for life. Yeah. No. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy there. Chris effing Jericho. He's a magician. He's a wizard.
Solid. The wizard stuff was good. I like the wizard stuff.
Well, you just
I
made
hated
his
it at
list,
first,
so.
but I loved it. At first, I'm like, this is so dumb. I'm like,
he
oh,
really hated it.
yeah, I hated it. It just grew on me like a pimple.
Well, it's getting that time, folks. We do have to get going here. So before we go, Darian, I'd like to turn it over to you. You already kind of given a rundown of some of the stuff you've done recently, but I want to give you full plug time. So whatever you want to plug, socials, upcoming things, movie appearances, I don't care. Whatever you got, you got the time. This is Plug City. Please, Darian, go have at it.
Okay, I got a bunch of little unimportant plugs and one big important plug. Little important plugs is I'm around. Come see me wrestle. Watch my other wrestling stuff. If you need to see matches that aren't on YouTube, DM me for the links because I don't know if companies are weird about me posting their stuff. But I got a lot of exciting stuff coming up at Naptown All Pro. I have Dylan McQueen this Sunday, and then at the end of the month on the 30th, we have Lucchini, which is our Mania show, our big show. Where I will be in contention to be the first ever Naptown All Pro champion. Naptown is a company that means a lot to me, and to be the first champion would mean a lot to me. Also having a very good run at TWE right now. I am the undisputed double-belted champion headed into SCI weekend. So being the man in the house where it happens is really cool, an amazing experience for me. I have Adriel Noctis in our second bout in Las Vegas on July 22nd. All of these shows are on IWTV. Most of them are being live streamed, so really awesome to see me there. But more important than all of that is some people very important and close to me, namely Carlie Bravo, who's one of my best friends. Today an image went out of Carlie Bravo, Sean Dean, and Trish Adora, and it is the infantry in the style of the Fugees' album, The Score.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that trio, amazing album. I think that trio has the potential to do really, really important things for this business. And I don't know if I have the eloquence to explain just how important, but they could mean something to they could be something generational. They could be something absolutely amazing, and that support needs to be shown. So if you see this image, share it. Let AEW know or Ring of Honor know that you want a T-shirt out of it. Know that you support that group. If people could go out there and find the image of the infantry as the Fugees and share it and tag AEW, that would mean a lot to me personally. So that's my.
I already did this morning.
Oh yeah.
I saw it and I popped so hard for it. I'm like, this is the best. And then I said, I go, hey, it's infantry law stuff going on. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dude, it's so good. Yeah, no, I loved it. Like, we've talked about Carlie before. Love Carlie. His work is great. Loved him when he came to Kansas City.
You got to talk to him a little bit. He's a super great, super chill guy.
Still want to get him on the show, but since he's AEW talent, it's a little bit more difficult now, I guess.
It's harder.
Yeah, I have to go through the public, whatever, production teams. Like, hey, can I talk to him? And they'll tell me no, which I already know. But I want to. We want to. We've been wanting him. But he's kind of too big for us now. Damn it.
He's a lovely dude. He's super down to earth. I'm sure he would love to chat with y'all. Carlie loved working in Kansas City so much. He was someone who was so heartbroken when he wanted Journey to be like one of his like spots. Like he loves wrestling in Kansas City. He loved that crowd, and he would love to do something with y'all at some point.
Well, you have to show him. I don't know if you follow Hartzell or not. You should go follow Hartzell on Twitter, but you should go find his tweet and show it to him. Like, oh, hey, Carlie, did you see this?
No, we definitely have to, because the three of us were talking the other day. Because Carlie was like, "So are skinny jeans done? Is it over?" He's like, "I'm not ready for it to be over." And Hartzell and I were both like, "We're gonna stand up for the skinnies right now."
Gotta do the skinnies.
Hartzell's the king of skinny jeans. Skinny jeans and big hats. That's Hartzell's
Hartzell got them little
Super
chicken legs. Of
skinny
course he is. He's got to be.
Super skinny jeans. They're like jeggings almost.
Deep V-necks, big hats, tight jeans that don't really go to his ankles, boat shoes, no socks. That's the Hartzell.
Yeah.
That's Hartzell.
You look at his closet. He's got his girlfriend's side of the closet, right? And you got his side of the closet, some shirts and some things, and a shitload of hats. Hats all over the place.
So many hats.
I respect a good hat game, though. I like it.
I do
all
too.
Right. Well, hey, okay, so links for all sorts of stuff down below that Aaron just talked about. Please go and follow him as well. Follow him on Twitter at Darian Bengston. I'll have links for all that socials, everything down below. But we want to thank you, Darian, for giving us some more of your time.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. Most definitely.
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down with Total Spotfest, I got 3 words for you. Book this man.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.